Hello everyone and welcome to episode 348 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now joining me on today's episode, for me, is someone that I want more people in this world to know about. This band are really starting to make a name for themselves, and their latest album has been blowing me away for the last few months. Today, I'm joined by Catrin Vincent, the singer from Another Sky. Another Sky, honestly, are a band that I want everybody to be listening to. Their new album, Beach Day, I've had on repeat for the last few weeks, and I'm absolutely obsessed with the songwriting, the music, and most of all, her lyrics. They're absolutely unbelievable. Also, this chat's really deep. It's one of those conversations where I never knew which way it was going to go, but sort of 5-10 minutes in, we just let it go and just kind of, there was no boundaries. We just let the conversation take us wherever it needed. And do you know what? It's one of my favourite episodes. Catrin is absolutely outstanding, so open, so honest, and doesn't put on any front. It's absolutely beautiful. So, just before I give you that interview, let's quickly touch base and talk about my last episode because it was a huge one. I was joined by Frank Turner, another incredible songwriter and one of the best things that Britain have got in music. This interview blew up massively, so thanks to Frank and all the people that shared this episode because the numbers were insane. Over 5,000 views in the first 24 hours on YouTube, so thank you so much. But today, personally, this is a very special interview and I really can't wait to share it. So here's me and Catrin talking all things Another Sky.
This is the only thing that could have happened. This is the only way it could have been. I move my body to feel something other than the weight of it underneath.
So Catrin, welcome to the Mark and Me podcast.
Hello.
What I love to do with all guests on this show is take it right back to the very beginning. So it doesn't matter if you're an actor, a director, or even a clown, whatever you do in your profession. I like to know how that came into your life. So I'm really intrigued, basically, when you were a kid. Can you remember maybe with your pocket money or a friend gave you a tape or a CD? What was that first album that you remember buying or listened to that made you fall in love with music?
Oh, that is a good question. I think I used to steal my sister's cassette tapes.
Nice.
So, one of them I remember, two of them I remember were ABBA and Spice Girls.
Wow.
And I used to dance around to ABBA and Spice Girls. And then that led me to steal my parents' cassette tapes, which were Tracy Chapman and Ludovico Einaudi, which were quite different to Spice Girls
I was
and
going to
ABBA.
say, quite a contrast there.
And I remember loving both worlds, like, oh, this deep, emotional music, amazing, and then just wanting to be a dancing queen and write pop hits. But yeah, that though I remember I didn't have my own cassette tapes. I just stole my sister's.
I used to like the old days when some people would be listening now thinking, who the hell is this granddad talking? But when you buy a cassette or your friend would have a good cassette and you could copy it, so you just buy some blanks and then you wouldn't be able to on some because they had like a little plastic thing that you'd break at the top to like so you couldn't tape
Oh
over it, but you'd just get a bit of
yeah.
sellotape over it and it'd let you still record. And then I'd borrow all my friends' albums, go to Woolworths, and for about £6 have about a 10 pack of blank tapes and then copy all their Metallica and Pearl Jam and Nirvana and Green Day. It was good
Oh,
days.
those were the days.
Yep.
That was so much
Fuck
better
this
than what happens
Spotify, you know what I
now.
mean? I think like I feel like music is getting a slightly bit disposable because you could listen to an
It's
album and then just hit shuffle or delete or and you've just kind of not appreciated it as much.
I agree. When you physically hold it in your hands, you feel like you own it. And I wonder if people just don't feel like they own the music they listen to.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm really appreciating the resurgence of vinyl. I know you spend a bit more on an album, but to have that artwork in such a bigger in a bigger format in front of you, and even just the fact that people are putting thought into what color vinyl you want, or you can see the lyric notes nice and big and artwork, it makes me really appreciate the album more.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's more of an art piece than just
Yeah.
like listen to this on Spotify. Yeah, I it does in some ways it does suck being an artist because there's just no avenue. I think before with cassette tapes, artists were at least making some money,
Yeah.
at least some. And now it does just feel like, where is this all going? If I don't know,
I
where is
think the
this all
emphasis is
going?
all now for an artist. I was in a band 20 years ago, and we were quite lucky. We got to play with some good bands and got on Radio 1 and stuff, but it was all about you could sell, loads of CDs. People would come to your gig and buy loads of albums. But now it seems that all the emphasis is on getting your band out there to play as many shows as you can and hope that they buy
Yeah.
some t-shirts or some merch. Um, and I think it's great because now, as a fan of music, every band I love are touring. It's constant. Every week I see an email come through, and I'm like, oh, Nick Cave's touring and Pearl Jam are playing, and all these great bands. But at the same time, I'm skint all the time, and the bands aren't really making enough money to be able to sustain it, which is it's a weird kind of balance.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's because even with touring, I mean, what we're finding is that it costs so much money to tour. I mean, we're still doing it. I just worry about kind of grassroots, the whole grassroots venue thing. I
Yeah, I saw
think.
something really good the other day about larger venues and arena shows taking just £1 off each ticket and giving it to the grassroots. And I think
Oh yeah,
that would be such an easy thing to do and would make
you
such a
do need
difference.
you need the larger, I'm going to call them monopolies, but like the larger
Yeah,
systems, I think you do need to support underneath. Otherwise, the thing underneath the larger systems, if that collapses, that's really sad. And I think the front woman from English teacher, I think I saw a video of her in Parliament, and she said it all way more eloquently than I ever could. But she had some really good stuff to say about it.
talking about live music, and it leads nicely to my next question, is I'm always intrigued about your first shows that you went to, not that you actually played, but maybe you're growing up and you got, to see some great live bands. But I've said it on every episode, so I think the listeners are like, yes, we know now. But my first gig was Green Day, so I was very lucky. They blew me away. I thought they were absolutely fantastic. But it led to then bands like I went down the kind of heavier side, so I saw Deftones and Limp Bizkit and all those sort of bands. And I was wondering what those first shows were for you that made you kind of really, truly fall in love with music as a show, not just a cassette that your sister had given you.
Funnily enough, my first ever show was when I was 8 or 9, and it was Ludovico Einaudi. So it was a
Wow,
classical. It was a
look at this link.
classical. One of my cassette tape, well, my parents' cassette tapes, and they took me to see him, and he had 10 encores. And as a
That's
young
exhausting.
9-year-old, I remember saying to my mum, "Make it stop." I
I love
just
it.
want, but I fell in before those 10 encores because that's what it's like at classical concerts. I wasn't very used to that. Um, it was just the most magical experience. And I think that actually really helped my love for the piano. I think I was very inspired by Ludovico Einaudi, and he had cellists come on, and it just filled the whole room. It was just amazing.
That's pretty epic. Most people, and I've done over 300 episodes now, it's always a band. It's always, oh, I went to see, Justin Timberlake or Boys to Men with my mum and dad or, with my older brother or something. Or they've gone to like a garage show and watched a local band. But I'm impressed. I mean, that's a hell of a foundation for your first live music experience.
Yeah, it was. And I remember seeing Kate Rusby, this
Wow.
northern folk artist. There's basically an art centre right next to where I grew up. So I'd just go to all these amazing shows. And then when I was like 11, 12, 13, I made a friend who was into the heavier stuff and I saw My Chemical Romance. I remember that.
Amazing.
My favorite band was Fight Star,
They
if you
recently played
remember.
Wembley Arena, didn't they? Literally a
No
couple of weeks ago.
way.
Yeah, comeback show.
I thought because he left Busted, Charlie Simpson left Busted. All my friends were obsessed with Busted, but Charlie
Yeah.
Simpson left Busted to be in Fight Star. And then I got obsessed with Fight Star. It was like the counter, band, like this is the reaction to Busted. And I saw them 5 times. And I remember being completely obsessed with Fight
I love
Star.
that. I love that he kind of because they're quite poppy then, Busted. No, releasing songs about um I can't remember some of their real famous songs now.
Year 3000,
There you
I've
go.
been to the
Yes,
year
amazing. And then
3000.
he went off and formed this band that were very heavy, and he
And
screamed a lot more, and it was good. It was kind of a rebellion against Busted. I think all the fans were gutted because it was like, no, we want the little pop songs, and he was like, fuck this.
yeah, he got a lot of hate, but I was in. I was 13 years old and I was in hard.
Amazing.
Yes, I hate Busted. Everyone likes Busted, and I couldn't go to the concerts because I don't like Busted. I'm going to Fight Star. And they had a song called Palahniuk's Laughter.
I love that tune. That's got a great riff.
The drummer is amazing.
Yeah.
And the video is just like loads of lightning and he's on the drums. And I
I'm
remember
going to listen
just,
to Fight Star this afternoon now. I haven't listened to that album
yeah,
for ages.
it's so good. They just sort of went for it. And then obviously, I think recently Charlie Simpson went back to Busted, but it sounds like he's gone back, he's doing both. There's been a,
Yeah, I think I'm sure Busted I've got a bit more freedom in their sound now. I've seen some of their arena
yeah.
shows and they're playing a lot more heavier stuff and they're just having fun and I'm sure selling out arenas every night must be pretty rewarding.
And I guess they can look, if some of them were unhappy with how pop it was, I guess now they have the solid foundation, like we're Busted, so they can just kind of have fun. And
Yeah,
it is
that's what it
fun.
should be about, yeah.
Doing pop songs is fun.
So I don't know your whole, obviously this is the first time I spoke to you today. I don't know the whole background about your musically. Obviously you've talked about piano and your influences at home with classical music and your sister giving you Spice Girls and all this, but were you in a band at school or college? Was it that kind of thing, or is Another Sky your first kind of introduction to being a band? I don't know your history.
Another Sky is the first band I was ever in, and
Wow, I love this.
it might be the last. No.
Yeah, I'm never being in a band again.
Um, and it's funny you said your sister gave you the cassette. I definitely stole them. My
Oh,
sister
okay, so,
she
oh, okay.
hated that I stole her music taste, but I literally stole it. And but anyway, back to the question. Um, yeah, I was a lone wolf all through school. I'd lock myself away in the music rooms. Boys didn't want girls in their bands, and girls didn't make bands where I grew up. And I should have started a girl band. That's what I wish I'd done. But the boys just wouldn't let me in there. They wouldn't let some little girl with a keyboard in the band, which I always found really sad. So then I just went, right, I'm making my own path. And I did these really complicated piano pieces with singing over the top. And I was a singer-songwriter. And then I got to uni, met my current bandmates, and we we just made it was the first time I'd ever been in a band. I was terrified. And for some reason, it's just worked ever since.
I love that. I love that this is your kind of first proper band and you're now reaping the rewards and the success that's coming with it. Because if I told you that, a couple of years ago you'd be doing in-stores and festivals and UK tours, I'm sure you wouldn't have believed me.
No, no. I think we had this period where we were a bit of a hype band, a little bit. We
Yeah,
were a bit of a hype band, but we were something, how to word it, we weren't in control of our situation. And actually, there was a lot of pressure on us. And we were constantly, there was a bit of a battle going on between art and making money.
yeah.
Which actually, if artists can't make money anymore, I wonder if everything will just be art. But anyway, that's my brain just flying off somewhere. Yeah, we had so we were when COVID hit, we were Greg James's Tune of the Week. We were a real hype band, and COVID just smashed our live shows. Well, they just couldn't happen anymore. So and we're a live band. That's our strength. So for a few years since COVID, I haven't been making money, but I've been fighting to stay in London. So I've just been basically, I'm not going to say homeless, but kind of like sofa surfing, living in a
Yeah.
van for a year. And I've just in the past week found somewhere to live, which is where I'm at right now. It's like the cheapest place in London. And I'm very lucky. It just popped up. And I was like, I need, go, 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 get this room. Um, so even though it seems like success, I think what a lot of artists struggle with is that it always feels like you're 1 second away from never having it again. I think that's the big struggle for artists. And actually, if there's anything, tell me if I'm going off on a tangent,
No,
but
no, I'm absolutely loving this.
if there's anything the last 4 years taught me, because I was going to give up, basically.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't sustain this. This is so wrong. Um, in that space that wasn't taken up by photo shoots and constantly gigging, which wrecked me a bit, it wrecked my mental health, creativity flooded back in. And I just had to really reckon with myself and I started teaching music, which taught me that everyone deserves to be creative. And just because my band got a bit of hype for a bit, it doesn't mean anything. I just don't think it does, and it inflates your ego and it causes all sorts of issues, which we see in a lot of artists with mental health issues, I think.
I feel like obviously it's quite for the listeners out there, they won't know this, but it's only just gone 10 o'clock in the morning on a Monday, so I don't want to get too heavy, too early, but I don't think people, and I say this with respect, I don't think people talk about mental health within music enough because you have to put on this frontmanship. You have to kind of hide behind the elegance of a great photo shoot, a music video, a live performance. But I think it's important that people say sometimes exactly how it is. So, you talked about being on the Future Sounds and having this probably moment where you thought this is all going to happen. Like, this is really fucking awesome. We're on Radio 1. It's feeling like the momentum's there. But if everything's taken away from you because of COVID or because of a lockdown and you lose everything, it's not always easy then to put a mask on, is it? And kind of pretend that everything's fine and you're happy and that you are grateful because you've kind of had that chance taken away from you. And I think it's cruel, but it's also reality. And it's not easy then, is it? Just to kind of carry on as normal.
Yeah, it it was horrendous. And yeah, sorry, I'm a deep talker. I just don't know what's wrong with me. I can't.
I think the deeper the better. So if you really want to get
Okay,
deep at half
good.
10, let's do it. But
I think something you said what did you just say? You said um, mental health isn't talked about enough in music. And what I'd actually say is there was a big push to talk about it more, but it was so surface level. It was
Yeah,
so artists drink a lot, so that means their mental health is bad. And I think the underlying what isn't spoken about enough, and this was my observation over the last 4 years and my experiences in music for 10 years, what isn't spoken about enough is the system, the class system. It's just
yeah.
never properly spoken about. And there were some journalists recently who have tried, but I think unfortunately, as soon as class is mentioned, people switch off in this country. I think there's a real block there that people don't want to confront the class system in this country. And working class artists have shrunk. I think it was, I can't remember the exact number, but something like 70% since, no, something like since the 70s, it's
Yeah.
shrunk a lot. I
There's,
can't remember
yeah.
the
There's
exact
a hell of a
number.
lot that's shrunk. Yeah.
And when you don't have those stories being told, because what creativity is and what music is, it's telling stories at the end of the day. People cannot see themselves in art. People engage with it in a more fickle way. So, TikToks, people, if there's something aggressive on TikTok, that there's an amazing band, Panic Shack. I
I
love
love the
them. They're
name.
from Wales. They're from
It's a
Wales.
great name.
They're working class, and when they went viral on TikTok, people reacted really badly. And part of it was misogyny, but a huge part of it was, why is this so aggressive? Why is this so in your face? And I think we're just going to lose stories. We're going to lose what it means to be alive and live. And that's what upsets me the most about it, is that uh, I don't know how to word it, but yeah, I think my original point was mental health and the class system. So, you can say, oh, artists are just more vulnerable and mentally ill. But if you look at what happens to artists in their lives, they're not paid. And when you're not paid for your labor, of course, your mental health is going to suffer. And what we used to have was, and what Europe has a lot of support for the arts from the government. And what we are lacking now is funding for the arts. Because when we were talking about those bigger systems supporting the smaller systems, that is how a society, oh my God, this is getting so deep. I'm so sorry. This is what I'm like.
No, this is good.
Um, that's how a society functions. You cannot have a society where you do not support what is below, what is underneath, which is actually supporting, you think it's hard to word it, but you think these things above have the power, but they are being supported
Yeah. Is
by
that
what's
making
happening
sense?
underneath. And as soon as you knock that out, you knock out the foundation. And I think that's what the front woman from English Teacher was saying much more eloquently than this in Parliament. And yeah, it's,
Do you feel like nothing's been done really about it, even though it's talked about? Do you feel like we're in a position where we're not seeing the change, we're not seeing anything come from it?
I think worldwide we're seeing no change. We're seeing we're seeing a big structure just kind of fall. And I think
Yeah.
it's not just music, it's music's what's happening to the arts, and music is a symptom of a wider issue. So even though I'm very sad that it's so hard to be an artist and that I feel on the brink every single day, and oh, how much longer can we sustain this band? How much longer will there be funding with AI and how the music industry is? I can see the bigger picture now, which I don't think I could see before, that this is something happening to everyone across a lot of industries, that we have a society and we have a world that isn't isn't functioning properly.
That's fair. So
And it's
so I feel like it's screaming in my head to ask you, but how and why do you keep going? How do you keep bouncing back? How do you keep waking up each day thinking, fucking hell, we're getting no money for this, but I'm doing what I love. I'm putting my heart and soul into it. Another Sky is my absolute baby. I want everyone to hear this music, but the struggle that comes with it, does it outweigh it? Is it that moment you do a show that someone comes up afterwards and buys a record and tells you you're I fucking love your band and there's a song that you've written that helped me or something like that. Is that enough than being able to buy yourself a pot noodle and a bag of chips every week?
what has really saved us recently. So we've built a studio in the crypt of a church,
Amazing.
which is has been amazing. So the label will fund a studio in the crypts of a church. So even though we work jobs, we always have that place to go to, and it has become the most magical place. And other artists are coming to it now. And for the first time in Another Sky's life, there is a scene. There is an actual music scene of like-minded people from similar backgrounds who are having these kind of profound experiences of making music for music's sake. And it's the fact we're Another Sky. It's the fact there's four of us, and 10 years in, we still come to a studio just to make songs. We don't know, we've made so many songs, and only a few songs get through on each album. But there's nothing better than coming out with a song. You never know if people will hear it, but it's just this ridiculous experience. And
There's no other
and
job that can give you that, is there really, to be fair?
no, so you fight to do it, and you accept that, you accept instability. Like, I'm kind of used to having no money now. I'm kind of completely used to it, in a way that would shock all my friends.
I think it
Uh,
just becomes I can't relate completely because there's not four of me, but with the podcast it doesn't make any money. You get support so you can keep things going and host it on different
yeah.
directories and stuff like that, which is amazing. And the Patreons I really appreciate, but you're never going to be able to see any money from it. But that's not why I do it. I do it because I love conversations. I love the fact that when I look at my list of guests that have been on, it's like a dream and I pinch myself, but at the same time, I'd do it forever. But I've just learned to
Mm,
adapt and just be like, okay, I'm never going to be able to go on a holiday abroad and sit on a really nice holiday destination with a all-inclusive holiday package. That's not the life I'm going to have anymore. But I get to sit here and have conversations like this. So it's like, well, I'll sacrifice the holidays and the really posh meals out to do what I love.
it's gratitude as well. Like what you've just expressed is so grateful. Like
Yeah,
even though, you know, going back to talking about a big system, the big system I kind of mean, I didn't want to sound wanky, but the big system I mean is capitalism. Like that has been
yeah.
the driving force that has led us here as humanity. And the gratitude you just said, it would be so easy to go, oh, I just want to go on a nice holiday. But what you end up sacrificing is yourself and your time and what you really believe in. And I'd love to go on a holiday, but there's no way I'm giving up music. Absolutely not. No way. And when you do something you love, like for you, your podcast, having conversations, communication, and that's a community in itself. You get to speak to people you'd never otherwise get to speak to um, in another job. that's your lifeblood. And I just, how could you ever give it up? It would be so lovely to go on holiday. It would be so lovely to have money. Like, I want to fix my teeth. I want to see a dermatologist. I want to,
Those things are never going to happen. They're so expensive.
yeah. And, but what I do get is I get to teach music and
Yeah.
I get to play in bands and I get to write songs and I get to, maybe I'll never play Wembley, but what I do get to do is give a songwriting workshop where there's a community of people who are completely moved. Like in the past year, I know that I have completely moved people. We have a song called I Never Had Control. I didn't know what it was going to do, but the feedback, a close friend said the other day, like that song changed my life. And I know it did. I know it changed their life. Someone did a comment yesterday that is my favorite thing anyone has ever said about our music. There's a poem called Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. It's one of my favorite poems. And someone commented yesterday, this song is Mary Oliver Wild Geese beautiful.
Wow.
And 10 years of making music, that's all I ever want people to get from our music. I
That should be
don't
on all your
care
tour
about
posters
Wembley.
and
I
a
don't.
t-shirt. That should be it now. That should be the quote on the front and then your logo on the back. Done.
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
So
But
how
sorry,
is the? No, no,
this is
it's good.
me.
No, this is. I'd rather you be you, and this is how it is, and this is how the conversation goes, than it be fake. And I've seen that you
Mm,
guys have announced a small tour for autumn.
yeah, so exciting.
Some
And we're
good
taking
venues,
our
King
best
Tut's, yeah,
friends.
Manchester, Birmingham, Bristol, some good places.
Yeah, and we've toured the UK a lot, so we know it quite well. We're playing a lot of the same venues, some bigger.
Yeah,
The one I'm really excited about is Scala in
yeah, in
London on the
London,
1st of
yeah, amazing.
October. So, and we're taking some really special artists, which I've just realized I shouldn't say yet, but we're taking some really special artists on tour.
We won't announce that and get in trouble. We'll keep it quiet.
But
Are
they're
you
our
looking
best
forward?
friends. That
Yeah. Are you looking forward to playing songs from Beach Day Live?
It was
With a really,
amazing to play them at the in-store tour because it was really intimate. Usually with this massive rock band, just a wall of sound hitting people. But it was amazing to have them a bit more stripped back. But I'm looking forward to the big rock show.
yeah,
It's really fun. I had a costume change. I did it at our
I
last
love it.
show, Beyonce style,
I was gonna say you're
halfway
now
through.
Beyonce. You're gonna like have a half-time interval and change 3 or 4 times. Next time I see you, guys will be like, "Yeah, I've got 6 costume changes tonight, Mark."
Yeah, everything I said about Wembley, I was lying. Six costume changes. Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm so excited.
Is that what you live for? Is that your kind of is that your holiday on the beach, going out and playing a venue?
It really is. And obviously tour's really draining in a way because it's so physical. You're away from everyone. It's non-stop. You're eating at service stations. But the feeling of playing live is like a drug. It's such a high. And yeah, I think I'm just so when we did the in-store tour, it felt like I was reconnecting with a part of myself I'd lost because obviously in COVID, just didn't play live.
No.
And it just felt like, oh, I'm back. This is what I do.
Do you feel happier within yourself now and more secure and more positive now that you've got this studio space, the upcoming tour, the album's obviously out? Do you feel content or are you still left some days thinking, why the fuck am I doing this?
I feel happy now because I think through COVID, I had to go through so much uncertainty Um, I was on benefits, couldn't find work. It's still hard. I have lots of friends who have just lost their jobs, and I see in them where I was 4 years ago of just what's my identity without work? Like, what's my worth? And I think
Yeah.
what I love about the past 4 years is that even though we lost a lot of momentum and a lot of money, something better filled that space where you define your self-worth by the jobs you do or whether you can make money and whether you can get your teeth fixed and go on those holidays. What filled that space was creativity and community and love. So I actually feel okay. I feel like you can't control what happens to you in life, and you just have to weather uncertainty as much as you can.
And that's not always as easy said than done, is it? Because some days you feel like, as much as that is the way it is, and that's how I should think, and that would be the way that should move me forward in a mature way. Some days you must feel like, I can't do this anymore. This is too much. I'm going to go and just give in and go and work in an office and do the corporate thing and just get money and live normal. But I feel like that's defeat. I think if I went tomorrow and started working,
Mm,
I've done 10 years in recruitment and I fucking hated it. And I think to myself, I've got the scars from it. I earned money. I got to see the benefits, but at the same time, it wasn't me. So when people say
yeah,
your job defines you and you get up every day and you're doing, something that really shows who you are, you couldn't get any further away from recruitment than myself. So to
yeah,
be away from it now, yes, I don't get the holidays, I don't get the nice luxuries in life, but fuck me, I'm happy now. And isn't
yeah.
that
And
better?
you can't put a price on that. You
No.
just can't. I don't know too much about podcasting, but I know that it's similar. Is it similar to music in terms of money, making money?
You don't make money, so yeah, it's it's very similar to music. Yeah, you could get 1 million streams. I interviewed Biffy Clyro and it got 700,000 downloads, but you don't even get enough money to buy a Mars bar. So it's like, okay,
Oh,
I'll just carry on and enjoy the fact that I got to speak to someone that wrote one of my favorite albums ever. So it's a win that way, you know?
yeah, yeah. It's and there's other way, I guess how I'm trying to see it now is AI can't take a well, I don't think AI can take a conversation, a human conversation. There is something happening right now that you don't get in recruitment, you don't get in an office job, you don't get in AI. And even though, and I think it's about finding, well, how maybe reframing it. For me, I've just gone, okay, well, now I can teach music. That's a skill. Just do
Yeah.
that. Like, yes, you might, AI can write a pop song now, which kind of sucks because I feel like I can write a good pop song. Um, I can actually have a human interaction with someone. So I wonder if there'll be a shift at some point. But yeah, as you say, it's so difficult. Like streaming is really tough. How I just don't know what's going to happen. But Biffy Clyro, by the way, love them. I didn't even talk about them, but growing up, they were one of the bands I adored, and
Yeah.
they like Another Sky, and they asked us to support them back before COVID. So we ended up supporting Biffy Clyro, and Simon walked in and said, "We love you guys," and it was
Fucking
just
hell.
it was surreal. It was they actually inspired a lot of the second album because we saw their show and thought we need to up our game.
They're one of the best ever. I got Simon
So
on for
good.
episode 300, one of my favorite interviews I've ever done, and I've got his autograph tattooed on my arm. I love the band. It's like they mean everything to me, and I think the fact they're so humble and so real and so kind, even though they headline Download and they could headline all these festivals and they sell millions, they're still themselves, and I fucking love that about them.
Yeah, that I noticed that Simon, even in the way he was so humble. He was just saying thank you. There was no like front,
No,
which you get with a lot of, oh, I just love them. I just love them.
they are probably one of my favorite bands of all time. I've seen them
Fair.
over 60, feel like 67 times now. So I'm like,
Wow.
yeah,
Did
they've
you
changed
ever?
my life.
I was going to ask because I think we did two shows with them. So I was going to say, did you go to this show? But probably not.
No, I've got tickets to they're doing 3 nights at the in Glasgow at the Barrowlands. Is that what it's called, the
Oh,
Barrowlands?
amazing.
And they're doing their first 3 albums, so I can't wait for that.
Oh yeah, they're just playing them through, aren't they? They're doing a really
Yeah,
long
which is
set.
going to be
Oh,
unbelievable.
wow. Wow.
Um,
Oh,
those tickets were like gold dust. They went in seconds, but I've that's going to be just a dream.
oh, I can't wait to see them play again.
So what are you guys doing at the moment? Obviously, you've got the dates announced. You're teaching music, is that right? You've got the tour
Yeah.
dates in the calendar. People can come and see you. The
Yeah.
album's out there now, so people can come and see it. I think you've got a few festival appearances, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah. We've got
Was it
Why
the
Not
Why Not Festival?
Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah. A Stone's Throw. There's a Great Escape. I think there's a few more. I just get in the van and go. I'm really terrible at knowing what we're doing, but we're just cracking on with album three.
Is
We're just
that kind
we
of demoing and throwing some
Yeah,
ideas in that church room?
yeah. So the main producer of the band is our guitarist Jack, and we're just absolutely cracking on with album three, and it's so emotional. I think it's going to be our best. I think it's going to be. I think we figured out that what makes us special as a band is the emotion
Yeah.
and just being a place for people to actually just have experience their emotions. So I'm really excited. I don't want to say too much, but I'm really excited about this next record. Love
I love
Beach
that. I
Day.
love that because Beach Day hasn't been out that long, and the fact that you're already excited about the follow up. But what I did notice, and I'm being 100% transparent and honest with you, is I listened to Beach Day for the last couple of weeks in the car when I'm going to work and stuff because I like to get an idea before I speak to you. I can listen to a song or do a bit of research and read about your stats and your gigs and your history and what you did as a kid, but I would rather just listen to the music and let that tell me a story and get an idea. And I really do mean this. When I heard your latest album, Beach Day, I put it on from start to finish how I think an album should be played. I don't want to shuffle, I want to listen to it. And it's more than just a voice you're doing. I don't know, I really won't word this well because I'm not a musician anymore, but you're giving something more. There's the emotion, there's the feeling. I can hear the way you're recorded. It's more than just a vocal. There's something there that's taken me on a deeper level. And I do it when I listen to Jeff Buckley, Grace,
Mm,
and I
it's
heard
funny
that
you
with your
say
voice.
that.
You know,
Oh, that's a massive compliment. Thank you. I don't feel like I'm vocally there up with Jeff, but you saying that is so interesting because at Christmas, I love Grace, one of my favorite albums ever. And at Christmas, I reconnected with Jeff Buckley and I sent a text to the band. I was just listening to the music over and over again. And I sent a text to the band and I just said, should we make the next Grace? Which I don't know. That would be quite hard to do, but it's good to have that
aim
as my,
high.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's good to aim high. One of my best friends always says, like, aim, it's good to have that North Star. And I feel like for the next record, albums like Grace, Jeff Buckley, um, all the albums by Sigur Rós, I feel like
Oh my
that's going to
God,
be,
epic.
I want it to go there, to just be unapologetically emotional with no kind of, because I feel like with Beach Day, there was that commercial intention just from a point we basically said, oh, I think we need to actually write some songs people could remember and hum afterwards and like listen to in the car. We were like, we need to make some listenable music.
Those melodies that at least stick with you for a bit, yeah.
And that's okay. I didn't mind doing that. But now I feel like it's time to go there and get really, really deep. And we're gonna do it no matter what it takes.
Are you going to give yourself no boundaries or limitations? Are you literally just going to say, right, we just write what we want, how we want to, and there's literally no blueprint. We do what the fuck we want.
We've always done that, to be fair. We're lucky in that way. I think because we met at uni, we were studying an arts degree, music. That's the place the band comes from, where you break down those limitations and you really look at the intention behind what you're making. And I feel like even though we've gone a commercial route so far, that foundation for the band has never gone. We make hundreds of songs, only a few get through. And I'm so excited to just follow the emotion. I guess having limitations is good because if every road is open musically, you just get overwhelmed and it's a bit
Yeah.
of a mess. So I feel like the limitations for the next record are, I imagine it as a barrier, like a gate letting songs through. And I think the gate is, does this make you feel something that has been difficult to feel? Okay, great. Let this song through. I don't want to just I don't want anything to be throwaway. I don't know what I mean by throwaway, but I just want the emotional intensity to be there. And I'm just typing that down actually, that gate. Sorry.
No, that's good. When I hear it one day, I'll be like, hey, I remember that conversation that inspired that.
Yeah, that's just happened now. Like, oh yeah, it could be this gate and I like the line, does this make you feel something you've never you haven't felt allowed to feel?
Yeah. Not that you haven't felt it before, but that you've actually been restricted so you couldn't feel it.
Mm.
And Mark and me's now turned into a songwriting session where we're now going to write the next album between us, and I'm only going to take 10%. But to
I'm
aim
really
high and say the next
sorry.
Grace, my God, like, I love you, but that's high. Like, I love it. I
It's
love the
too
ambition,
high.
but I'm like, wow.
We then got in the studio and I was trying to, his wail, he's like,
Yes.
ah! I was trying to do it and I was like, nah.
There's no one else like him, genuinely. Grace,
I bought his
just
sorry, you go.
no,
I'm,
go
I'm
on. I was just,
excited.
you know what I'm going to say. Grace is just an absolute masterpiece. It's flawless.
Oh, it's just amazing. And I've bought his I think his mum released some of his notebooks.
Yeah,
So I love, oh, it made me feel so good reading through his notebooks because he's just a guy, he just pursued music and it's fascinating seeing his lyric. He really focused on the lyrics a lot. He went to
yeah,
poetry classes. And his voice, I mean, obviously his dad's Tim Buckley,
yeah.
the famous folk singer. Oh,
There's nothing like it. There's genuinely nothing like it. One of my favorite songs ever is "Love You Should Come Over." And "Last
mm,
Goodbye." Oh, I think I'll have "Last Goodbye" played at my funeral. I think that's just a
oh,
unbelievable song. But I always think to myself, what would Jeff Buckley be doing now? And I, obviously, we heard "My Sweetheart the Drunk" and the ideas and the demos and what was going to come, but we never really got that next album. And I always feel like, would we be now sitting here talking about his 10th album and how he's changed music for good? But I don't know. Maybe it was meant to be
it's
that we only got Grace. I don't know.
it's true. Like, and that's kind of when I re-listened to Grace over Christmas, I realized not just Grace, so much other music. What I hate about this system where artists don't get paid and then certain types of music get through, when we devalue the amount of work it takes to produce something like Grace, it just makes me sad that we won't get things like that again.
Yeah.
And whether we will achieve it, I don't know, but that is the point of the crypt and all these musicians coming to the crypt. Like, can we recreate that space that made records like Grace? Can we do it? I don't know that it's going to be, I mean,
I
we're
like
not
the
going to make
idea
the
that
next
when there's an
Grace.
album campaign and it'd be like NME 4 out of 5, brilliant songwriting at its best, and it'd be like they finally give us the new Jeff Buckley Grace Mark and Me podcast. But
Why not? I'll
aim
remember
high.
this conversation.
I say it with guests, so I will never ever stop. So I've said to people, I'm going to get Keanu Reeves on the podcast, and everyone's like, haha, that's funny. I'm like, no, I will get Keanu
You
Reeves on this
will.
podcast. I will get Kate Hudson. I will get Cameron Crowe. I will get Dave Grohl. I will get everybody, and it will happen. But it just is all about timing and being in the right place at the right time, and it all just being meant to be. And no one believed me when I said I was going to get Anthony Hopkins, but I did. No one believed me when I said I'd get Brandon Boyd from Incubus. They were like, no, you're not. But it's happened. So it's just about. I love the fact that you're going to try and write the next Grace because why the fuck not? No one else is doing it.
Yeah, like why everyone's so methodical about music, and it at the end of the day it's expression. It's oh, like I think everyone worries too much about making something that will blow up. But actually, if you look through the history of music, the things that blow up were the most unpredictable.
Of
Like
course. I was
Nirvana.
thinking Nirvana then. I was thinking Smashing Pumpkins and Nirvana. I was thinking those albums at the time weren't written to be multi-million pound albums that would sell in bucket loads. And the fact that they're so sincere and it's organic and people love it for being what it is made it even more special.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, it's someone being free enough to express themselves in a world full of a lot of judgment. Because if you think about Kurt Cobain, lyrics like "everyone is gay." Like
Yeah.
what's the most offensive thing I can say? And Kurt Cobain would say it, and it wouldn't just be offensive. It would come from a real place of no, I need to express myself and say something. And Smashing Pumpkins just unapologetically themselves. Um, Jeff Buckley, it's almost like saying the things that everyone else is afraid to say. So you can be that person for people to see these the difficulty of living reflected back in them. Oh my God, I sometimes my brain goes to this place and I can't make it a casual conversation. I'm really sorry.
No, it's good because what I've seen today in our conversation, and I've taken a bit of a step back in this moment, is the common theme, the kind of common trend I've seen is the people we've talked about. So Kurt Cobain, Billy Corgan, Jeff Buckley. They're not people pleasers. Their
Mm,
music isn't to tick boxes, is not to sell millions, even though they did. Um, and isn't that the lesson we take that Jeff Buckley didn't sit there and think, actually, I should put another chorus in there because it'd be more radio friendly and I need it to sound like it should be played on radio. He does what he wants, that what his heart told him to do. And if you're going to go into your studio and your church setup with the same mentality and kind of setting yourself up to not have any restrictions or to please people or to fit a certain category, well, already you're ahead of all the others, aren't you?
I
Or
think
am I making sense or am I talking utter bollocks? I
that
don't know.
makes complete. The reason I had a pause there is because I was
Yeah,
also kind of taking that all in. I think that makes complete sense. And whether or not we'll achieve that is a different story. But if you set that intention, I love that you've said they weren't people pleasers because I'm a people pleaser in recovery. And if I can stop, please, and I'm doing really well, not people pleasing right now. And if I can keep that going, maybe we will make the next Grace. So that's just blown my mind. Like,
Isn't people pleasing the most exhausting waste of energy ever? Like,
yeah.
I spent 20 years of my life, and I'm only 42 now, so half of my life, from uni probably till only about 5 or 6 years ago, even less probably, always just being the person to make sure I don't upset anyone, to not say what I really think, to say to someone, yeah, I'll be at your party that I don't want to go to because I don't want to let you
Mhm.
down and I want to be seen and make sure I don't have that fear of missing out. But really, when you strip it all away, and it's not selfish, I really think there's a balance here and there's a fine line, but I make sure, I would never say I'm selfish, but I'm putting myself first for the first time. And I'm going to myself, I don't want to
Mm.
fucking go out tonight. I don't want to go to your stupid mate's christening because I just don't want to go. Like, it's not being cruel or I'm not being a bastard. Like, I don't want to have to do things that aren't for me. And that's not selfish because I'll do stuff for other people and the people I love, I'll do stuff for them. But I've stopped being the people pleaser and saying what people want to hear just because it's exhausting and I'm not being myself anymore. And I think I lost touch of
Mm.
who I was. I think I didn't know who Mark was anymore because I was just adapting and changing myself to everyone around me. So then I actually took a step back and was like, who the fuck am I? Am I the guy that's now sitting at a football match because I don't want to let my mate down, but I fucking hate football? Like, what am I doing? It's,
Mm.
it's not that I can change it because I'm glad that I've come out now and I'm not doing it, but I've wasted so much of my time and life doing the things that I didn't want to do for everyone else.
Mm. It does feel like wasted time, doesn't it? But it's actually not.
No,
That's
because
the
it's all led
hard
to
bit.
today, hasn't it? It's all led to me now not doing it, but you
It's
can't make,
exhausting
you can't make those choices without making the mistakes to see they were mistakes. But
for sure. And I
my
think it's
God,
realizing that I was saying this to another podcaster. She's called Sophia. She does Before the Chorus. I was saying to her, it's about understanding that it doesn't serve you to people please. Like it's because you can't control other people. So actually, people pleasing is actually quite it's actually to do with control. If I make everyone else around me happy, I can control my environment. And I was saying to Sophia, I guess a way to let go of feeling like it's wasted time is to reframe it as, okay, I've got to stop this behavior because it doesn't help. It's not good, but it comes from a place of deep caring.
yeah,
It comes from a place of, as much as it's almost a selfish behavior to control your environment around you, it does also come from a place of deep care. If everyone, I can only be happy if everyone else is. And I guess it's about transforming that into something more useful. And it's like with your
yeah, that's
podcast
beautifully
and
said. Yeah, yeah,
these conversations, you've taken that, gone, that doesn't serve me, but I'm going to transform this into something that does. Um, I should
and
be a
it's
therapist.
definitely not meant to be. Yeah, it's definitely not meant to be selfish. I'm never saying it as in like, oh fuck these people, because if they want me to do something for them, obviously I will because I love them and it's a two-way thing. But I was doing too much of it and not for the right reasons and for the people that didn't really appreciate it and probably wouldn't do it for me. So I've just kind of I would rather as I get older have 10 really good friends that I love and that are sincere that would be a two-way genuine beautiful friendship than have 80 mates that all know my name and want me to do stuff but really they're not actually true friends. They're just another number, you know?
For sure, for sure. And that's the beautiful thing about getting older, I think. Like I turned 30 this year and just being able to say every single one of my friends is incredible compared to the patterns I had growing up. And, in your 20s, you meet some interesting characters, everyone does. And I think having connection is the most important thing. Yeah, for sure.
I really enjoyed today. I will definitely come and see you guys towards the end of the year in autumn. And I want to hear these songs live. And I want to hear some of your teasing of the new Jeff Buckley album.
Oh God, I've put so much pressure on that now.
It's recorded as well. I'm not going to edit that bit out because I like it and I want it to be your goal now. Like, oh shit, we've told Mark now we're going to make the next Grey, so we have to. Otherwise, he's going to be really pissed off. And that's people pleasing, so you have to please me.
Okay. Okay.
Not much
That
ask. I'm not
yeah.
asking much, am I? Just give me the next greatest
I
album of all
love
time.
it. I love it. I'll listen back to this in a few years and think, I'll either think, yes, we
We
set
did
that
it.
goal, or why did I say that? So
How
thank,
delusional was I? Fucking Jeff Buckley.
but do you know what? This has been one of my favorite interviews to date. Thank you so much.
It's not over yet. You've got one final task, which is
Oh,
choosing a song.
okay.
Because the outro, after this is all edited, a song plays, and you can choose any song in the whole world.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's
And I
gonna
think
have,
would it be too obvious now to pick a Jeff Buckley song or
I think I'm gonna have to do it. Can I pick a song I discovered at Christmas? Is an
whatever you want?
it's unreleased, and Elizabeth Fraser from the Cocteau Twins got really upset that it got released, but Jeff Buckley and Elizabeth Fraser did a collab, and it was called All Flowers in Time Bend Towards the Sun.
Right,
I'm gonna check that. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to play it
that's
in
fine. All
time.
flowers bend towards the sun, was it?
Yeah, All Flowers in Time Bend Towards the Sun.
And it's Jeff Buckley.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
And it is just the most gorgeous song ever.
Why have I never heard this? And I thought I was a huge Jeff Buckley fan. That's mental.
It wasn't, Elizabeth Fraser really didn't want it to be released. And then, and it's never been properly released, but it got leaked.
Yeah.
So it's
Oh
never
my
been
God. How have I
official.
never heard this? I thought I had heard everything he'd ever done, even like the bedroom recordings, the demos, the in a cafe when you're hearing people ordering coffee. I thought I'd heard everything, but wow. Well, it seems like the perfect song to end on.
Mm,
Thank you for today. I really appreciate it. It's been lovely to meet you. And this world's very small, and I know that our paths will cross again. It might be a festival, it might be a show, it might be another podcast in a couple of years when you've released album number 3.
for sure. Thank you so much for today.
It's a pleasure. And yeah, I hope you have an amazing, relaxing day ahead.
Thank you so much. And you. Good luck with all the interviews.
Each day there's a LA who wouldn't skate, too scared of losing my hand.
So there's my interview with me and Catrin. My God, that was amazing. That hour is one of my favourite hours of recording that I've done, honestly, since I've started Mark and Me. There was a connection there was chemistry there, we trusted each other, and the interview for me is one of my favourites, so thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Hopefully by the time that you guys have now listened to this episode, you've now gone and checked out the band Another Sky. Go and see them live, definitely invest in their album Beach Day, you will not regret it. If you put some headphones on, relax, focus, and just listen to the music and her vocals, you will go places that music doesn't always take you. It's unbelievable and very special. And hey, I've set the task now to try and write the equivalent of Jeff Buckley's Grace Part 2. So good luck with that, Another Sky. That's going to be a hard one to do, but if anyone can put it off, I believe in you guys. Now, if you're new to Mark and Me, and this is the first episode you've ever listened to, I don't just interview bands. I have actors, I have writers, I have film directors, all different people from all different walks of life, and there's almost 350 episodes now that you can dive into. They're all on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, Podomatic, or wherever you find your podcasts. They're all free, and I hope that you all discover something that you really fall in love with. For the loyal fans out there, thanks for keep on coming back. It means the absolute world to me. The podcast does need some more support on Patreon. I'm struggling a little bit because I understand that everyone's got bills to pay and money's tight, but I have to obviously keep this podcast as my hobby, but also try and pay those bills that come with the podcast. So if you are able to spare a couple of pounds and enjoy these episodes, there's a link on markandme.com. It's basically like being in a restaurant and giving the waitress a tip of £2 or something, but instead of getting, a meal, you're going to get episodes, you're going to get exclusive badges, you get a welcome pack with stickers, a monthly newsletter, and so much more. It's been a busy couple of weeks for Mark and Me, and I've given you a lot of new episodes, but it's not going to slow down anytime soon. As always, it's only going to be a couple of days until you get another brand new episode. So, until then, look after yourself, take care, go and listen to Another Sky, and I'll speak to you all very soon.
Going in me, wicked traveler, fading farther from me, with your face in my window glow. When will you wait for me, sweet willow?
It's okay to be angry, but not to hurt me. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Darling,
But here